Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the summit. My name is Ruairidh Battleday. I'm the founder and president of Thinking About Thinking, the nonprofit that's put on the summit today and at several more through the year. We also run a Mathematics of Neuroscience conference. And it's really a great pleasure today to have you all with us. So, artificial intelligence. It's all over the news. We know it as researchers through its beginnings here in the UK with Alan Turing in computer science. It seems like a day doesn't go by nowadays where you hear about it in some way, maybe taking over the world, maybe providing a great service, maybe providing great harm. Now, I've talked about AI a lot to lots of different people, and about 2 weeks ago, I was talking to a farmer, and as I was talking to him, I noticed him getting more and more concerned, kind of brow furrowing. And he interrupted me at some point, and he said, "Hang on, do you really mean artificial insemination can do all that?" And I'm hoping that here today we have a crowd that has a more common basis of understanding. But some people might still think of artificial intelligence as basically meaning something like AlphaFold, Google's protein structure prediction program, which recently won the Nobel Prize. Or they might think of something like ChatGPT, a language model, which has now over a quarter of the world using it. Or they might think about a sort of extremely sexy but extremely intelligent entity that may want to date us or may want to kill us. But I think here today, most of us think about artificial intelligence as synonymous with machine learning, the kind of computing paradigm where most of us have been thinking about and doing our work recently. So whereas in classical computing, let's say in the 20th century, we spent a great deal of effort trying to build a program, design a program that could take an input and produce the outputs that we wanted. In machine learning, we actually take a different approach, and we provide a good set of inputs and a good set of outputs, or set of specifications on the output, and then we hope that the program, whatever algorithm we've chosen, can learn the program in order to implement that mapping. And as most of you are aware, I'm sure the majority of work at the moment uses neural networks as a very flexible learning algorithm with the capacity to learn sort of different programs for these transformations. So one example is DeepMind's AlphaFold, which takes the primary sequence of amino acids making up a protein and predicts its structure. And so I always wonder whether anyone can guess the structure that's on the screen at the moment. Does anyone have a guess? Feel free to shout out. James? James is right, it is indeed myoglobin. So this was the first protein structure to be sequenced, Andrew Kendrew getting the Nobel Prize for it in the 60s. Another kind of classical example of this input-output mapping is autoregression. So the loss that ChatGPT is trained on. So the input in this case is the words in a sentence so far, and the output is the next word in the sentence. And so here's a favorite sentence of mine. From the book Little Prince: "The fox gazed at the prince for a long time. Please." Anyone know the next word? Exactly. It's a favorite book of James's, and he quotes it in his dissertation. But yeah, "Please tame me," said the fox to the prince. But I think we'd all agree that artificial intelligence is this very powerful technology, kind of rooted in science, that has that is discussed in society and has the great potential for good or for bad, and sort of involves a lot of different stakeholders in its entirety. And that's why we have chosen to put on these summits. And we've been inspired by another phenomenon which has a very complex scientific, technological underpinning. Climate change involves society at many different levels, and has great potential to affect us all. And so the kind of model in climate change has been to organize summits where experts come together from different stakeholder groups and talk about the underlying science, the underlying technologies, and the potential to mitigate them. But why, in particular, are we here? So we're here to think about what are the open problems at the frontier for AI algorithms. And we're going to be hearing from a group of expert researchers today to try to describe currently what is really challenging for the suite of algorithms that we have, and in 5 years, what is likely to remain challenging and what might we have made progress on through particular promising avenues at the moment. The second reason we're here is we want to hear about open problems for AI in application. And so that's mainly what we're going to be hearing about on day 2. Where do we have current capabilities in our suites of algorithms where we can solve real-world problems and haven't yet? But where also maybe there are, in 5 years' time, there's a pressing need to solve a problem and we need new algorithms for it. And so the larger goal, I think, with the summit is to try to guide the development of algorithms towards applications for social good and for people in the world of applications to actually understand what the fundamental capabilities, limitations, and potential of AI algorithms are. So this is our summit. We've got a really fantastic range of speakers lined up for you for the next few days. Why we in particular are here, I think, is because, as I said, we've got a lot of news in the media, a huge number of papers being produced at the moment about AI, machine learning, the underlying technologies. And we're all experts in AI or neuroscience or some of the formal fields underlying it. So you might think of the first slide as a macro, this slide as the micro. But we need a common language, a mesoscale language for communicating these concepts both ways, from the fundamental algorithmic bases of certain phenomena all the way up to the types of things that our current algorithms are not doing right or are doing very well at the moment. And so that's what we're trying to do in the summit, is build a common language by having experts from the different stakeholder groups come together, by bringing everyone into the discussion. And what better place to hold a summit than the Friends Meeting House? So this is the meeting house of the Quakers, a respectable society, very interested in discussions about the rest of society, about goodness, about science and learning. And we've had a phenomenal set of sponsors come on board to make it happen. So I want to thank all of our sponsors who really get nothing out of this apart from the pursuit of knowledge, discussions about potentially impactful technologies at a large scale. Today we're going to focus on algorithms, and everyone that's going to speak today is an expert researcher. We're really lucky in the morning to have Tim Rocktashdale from Google DeepMind and Katja Hoffman from Microsoft come and give the opening 2 talks, and then I'll host a panel on how should we fund AI research. We have people who are running some really quite different institutional structures, talking about how they fund it and how we should be funding it going forward. I think 10 years ago, everything was done in universities, and now we have a really much wider group of people producing AI research. On day 2, we're going to talk about applications, and if it looks like there are way more people on the slide, it's because the talks are shorter. We've got a few fascinating panels, one on AI in education, the other on AI in medicine, and we're really looking forward to hearing from them. So either people are experts in machine learning and they've gone to become applied, or they've got a really canny sense of what is a needed thing in the world at the moment that they think machine learning can solve. So a few logistics. For the safety, this room has a lot of exits, and so in case of a fire, take any of the exits, and beyond every single one of them, there's another door leading to the outside, so evacuate the building. If anyone needs anything, the point of contact is going to the volunteer help desk directly outside, where I think all of you have been already today. We're going to be using an app for doing Q&A for the panels. And so we'll give more information about that. We'll show a QR code. But basically what that allows people to do is to put in their questions and vote on others. And we'll take questions from the crowd, of course, after the panels. But we'll also take directly with a microphone. But we'll also look at the app and see which one's the most popular and what are the burning questions. And so today we finished for lunch at 11:40. If everyone could try and be back for the talk after lunch, the keynote from Martin at 12:40, that would be much appreciated. Tomorrow there's a breakout session and lunch starts a little bit later. But we just wanted to warn everyone that today, 12:40 back from lunch would be fantastic. So thank you all for coming.